What's going on, guys? Spud here, and welcome to episode 14 of the Roundup. In today's episode, we're going to be looking at Boston Breach's roster cuts, who stayed in, what's their plans for next year, and for the Esports World Cup. We're also going to be looking at a clip that Formal has said he wants to return to Call of Duty professionally. Obviously, um, he's been recently doing Halo for Optic for the last couple of years. We're also going to be just having a brief look at the bracket for champs and kind of the modes that certain teams will have to be on their A game if they want to win, especially just for like winners round one and stuff like that. But the main purpose of the episode is challenges champs, and we are going to do our challenges champs predictions. Now I've watched quite a bit of challenges this year, more than I did last year. But obviously at the same time, I haven't watched enough for a prediction for some of the teams that are like outside of EU and NA, like Cows, for example. But I think it's going to be a really good event, and obviously all of the games are going to be streamed by I can't remember the name, but there is an account which is going to that streams like broadcast esports, and they've agreed to do all of the matches for Challengers Champs, which is really good. I believe Challengers Champs will start on Friday as well. But I'm not 100% sure on that. It could be Saturday because there's not as many matches. Um, if you enjoy, please do drop a like, subscribe if you're new as well. It is really appreciated. And let's just get straight into it. But first, we have to kind of have a brief overlook at the roundup for this year. Because there's not going to be many left for the Call of Duty season now. Obviously, this is the last one before champs. Um, we started the roundup just after Major 2. So just at the start of Major 3. And it's been really successful in my opinion. You know, we're averaging like between 30 and 40 views on each video, roughly on average. Obviously, Optic winning the major did get about 125, which is really I'm really thankful for that. Um, and yeah, it's something that's definitely going to be going on into Black Ops 6 and for the Esports World Cup as well. I just wanted to kind of go through this now, rather than at the end of the video or on the video after champs. So we're gonna do episode 15 will be CDL champs review. Depending on how long and how many moments there is, it's highly likely that we do just the CDL champs as episode 15, and then the week after I will do episode 16 will be Challengers champs, but obviously it will not Challengers champs review, but um it won't be as detailed as the main one. I have to have a look into that, but that's most likely the situation. Um, Obviously with the Esports World Cup, we're probably going to do a mixture of an episode with the Challengers Champs and the Esports World Cup. Um, yeah, we're gonna be doing the roundup for the Esports World Cup because it's only a couple of weeks after Champs. I think it's like 3 weeks after Champs, so we might have like a week off because we've done an episode every single week so far. Even when there's not been any COD on, we've done an episode. We might miss an episode. We might still do it all the way up to the Esports World Cup. It just depends if we've got enough stuff to talk about, to be honest. After the Esports World Cup, though, it will be stopping temporarily, and that's just because there's not going to be a lot going on. Um, and then once we've got like 4 or 5 pieces of Rostermania stuff, then we'll start bringing it back. We're probably going to do episodes for Rostermania only, stuff like that. On the lead up to Black Ops 6, obviously off season is going to be a few months, not as long as last year though. It was about 6 months last year. It won't be as bad this year because of the Esports World Cup. Um, so yeah, there could end up being like a month without an episode, and it's not that the roundup's finished or anything. It's just a logical thing to do because I won't have enough to talk about in the episodes. So yeah, there's obviously definitely going to be one next week. Next week's episode where we look at champs and who is the world champions for 2024. We're probably going to do the challengers champs separately, just so they get enough spotlight as well on the as an episode. And then after that, it's just preview the Esports World Cup, Rostermania, stuff like that. And then we have the Esports World Cup. We'll review the Esports World Cup for the Call of Duty stuff. And then that's it for a while, unfortunately, and that's just how it goes. There will still be like the occasional spud ball, obviously with the Premier League season coming up next month. We might do a Euros review as well. I'm recording this actually on Sunday, so the final of the Euros and the Copa America is today as well. So um, hopefully England can win, but we'll have to see what happens. So yeah, the roundup is just going to obviously temporarily go for a little bit, but that's just because the season's done after the Esports World Cup. But I thought I wanted to bring that up first, so I could kind of explain. But I think I kind of made that clear before. Anyway, we're going to start off with the Boston Breach. So they have dropped their best player in Ben Baines. Ridiculous, by the way, that they've got rid of him. They've got rid of world champion Priester, which is fair enough because he had a really underwhelming year. They got rid of Major Maniac. He was only brought in for the last split. Didn't work out. And then Pentagram was still classed as a sub for them, and he's been dropped, and he's also decided to retire. I think that's fair enough, to be honest, because he knew that he wasn't going to get another chance in the league. But Snoopy stays, and so does the coaching staff and GMs and that for now. But when Beans actually put a tweet out saying he was a free agent, the general manager put like a love heart, a green heart for Boston, obviously, and Beans responded with like a hug. There might not be a lot in it, but some people are saying that there is a shadow GM, which is Doug Martin, and he's making the calls. Obviously, I can't say if that's true or not. I won't say if it's true or not because I don't know. I don't want to lie. But yeah, it's disappointing. Obviously, Snoopy stays. The main reason Snoopy probably stays is just because of the fact that he has a 2-year contract, um, which is fair enough. You know, it would cost Boston a lot more, whereas everyone else was on a team option. Regarding obviously like the roster mania stuff, like because there's a spreadsheet which is where I got this information from regarding the contracts, which was made by Easy Mac and Ben J. Nassim. I will be probably episode 16 because there's only going to be a couple of weeks to the Esports World Cup. Uh, yeah, for the World Cup, we're probably just going to look at that spreadsheet and look at the roster stuff in episode 16 of the roundup. It's probably easier just because the this main video is obviously for the challenges champs. We don't want to overlook that. So yeah, Snoopy stays. The rumoured roster for the Esports World Cup was Cammy, Arcites, Purge, and Snoopy, which is fucking horrendous, by the way, because they're 3 players that were shit in the league this year. 4 players, sorry, Snoopy wasn't great. It's who the fuck is making these decisions? They are terrible. They are horrendous decisions. Why would I know pros? You obviously want to make it pro, and you want to get on a team because you get paid. The money's like prize money's a lot better than challenges, obviously. But why would you want to go to the breach? I mean, obviously the heretics out of sight unless you're Spanish or speak Spanish, to be honest. Um, but yeah, not ideal for Beans and for Boston. And I think he'll be on another roster. The others, though, I don't even think Priest will get onto another roster, to be honest, because of the year he's had. Next, we're going to quickly talk about Formal. He says here in this clip that he wants to play Black Ops 6 professionally. I'll just play the clip.
This one. Am I planning on playing Black Ops 6? I am planning on it. I'm planning on playing that fucking shit professional, to be honest. Professionally. Only the 272 of you guys know that for now. This one.
So obviously he's on Twitch, you know, talking to his viewers. Someone asked him that question. He wants to play professionally, and that's really good because obviously Formal, you know, a big name in um a big name in Call of Duty. Obviously, you know his accolades speak for himself. Obviously his accolades in Halo, which he's been playing for the last couple of years, also speak for themselves. You know, some people say he is the best FPS player of all time. Arguably he is. And yeah, obviously he's part of Optic now. He's been part of Optic for a while. What's going to happen here? You know, people say, oh, would he just go straight into Optic's team? Obviously, Formal has publicly spoken that he's just finding Halo a bit repetitive and boring and there's no updates to it. I could only see Formal personally playing for a top four team or LA Thieves, and I mean, I think he's good enough to go on all of the rosters potentially. Maybe not FaZe, unless they were looking to get rid of Draza. But I think that he probably gets in on Ultra over Insight. Maybe not, it's close. But I think he gets on New York, and I don't know if he gets on Optic. I don't think they would. You don't know what Optic would do if they would get rid of Kenny to bring in Formal, or even potentially Dashi, because obviously Dashi and Formal were together in Cold War and it just didn't work out. So we'll have to see what happens there. Could he potentially be on Optic Texas next year? It's a weird one because he's saying that like he doesn't enjoy scrimming and you have to scrim a lot in Call of Duty. Especially if you want to be on one of the teams that wants to win tournaments, and I can only see him being on a team that can win tournaments. The reason I said LA Thieves, obviously, 100 Thieves is a big organization, and I think if I know they obviously had to get rid of their World Championship roster for budget cuts, but if they were able to get someone like Formal to partner with Dan Ghosty, that could be really good, but we'll have to just keep an eye out on that. He could have just been saying it, obviously, just for impressions, or the fact that he wants to do it, but he knows it might be unlikely. We'll have to just see. Now, that's stuff that we can kind of talk about in a couple of weeks when Rostermania starts. I mean, it's starting now, to be fair, because there's going to be a few changes for teams for the Esports World Cup, but then I don't think there'll be that many. It'll be mainly after the Esports World Cup for that. Now, I just want to quickly show you the bracket again for champs. Just briefly, and just have a look at the first four games and what the certain teams need to do in order to get the dub. So we know that FaZe will be dominant on the respawn modes against Miami. Miami have to win both search and destroys, in my opinion, and they have to win a respawn. I do think, though, for Miami, honestly, Miami's best chance is winning a hard point and two searches rather than an Eslo and get the control. I think if Miami could win a hard point, like if they win map 1 and 2, I think that Miami do not get reverse swept and they beat FaZe. But, well, no, they could do still, but the only way they're going to win is a map 5, in my opinion. See, New York and Surge is a close one. I think Surge has the potential to win both S&Ds. But I think that New York win both hard points. Um, and then obviously there's just the control, which Surge's record on control is quite bad. It all kind of comes down to Hugh because for me he's the main piece of that Seattle Surge roster in terms of if he has a good map, everyone will end up benefiting from it. Um, so yeah, that it'll be a tough one for Surge, but they are arguably a top 3 S&D team on this game with the addition of 0-4. Ultra versus Thieves. It's basically Dan Ghosty or nothing for Thieves. Ultra's S&D is really good. Their hard point is still pretty good, but it can be a bit iffy sometimes. Their control is normally pretty solid, whereas Thieves kind of struggle in the control. Thieves pretty much would have to win at least one S&D. I think they've got the potential to win one of the respawns if their SMGs are consistent enough. Moving on to Optic LAG for the last one. This one's quite an interesting one because going into it, Optic are probably still the favourites, even though they just got top 12 and won 1 and 6 online, whereas LAG got 3 and 4 and got third. And beat Ultra on the way as well, which is really impressive. I think, personally, Optic would win both hard points. I think LAG could easily win, and probably would, if it went to a Game 5, would win both Search and Destroys. So it kind of comes down to that control for LAG and for Optic for who wins. I think personally, if it goes 2-1 and Optic take the control, Optic win. Because a lot of these series where Optic have lost in a Game 5, which is a lot of them now, they've actually been 2-1 down and then have won the hard point on map 4 to get to a Game 5. and then they lose the search. Will they have sorted that out? Obviously, we don't know how it's working out, if accuracy's actually doing any more. Coaching, nothing's really been said about it. We'll just have to see. I still think it'll be FaZe, Subliners, Ultra, and Optic that win the winners round one, though, to be honest. Right, so now we're gonna have a look at Challengers Champs. I just want to say, obviously, there is a mistake for Chaos. It's not there's not two players called Corty. Um, these are your teams for Challengers Champs. Um, obviously, some of them aren't from EU and NA, like Chaos and Mindfreak, for example. But these are your teams. So obviously, they're split into four groups based off your seeding. So obviously, the lowest seed, which is Chaos, are in Group A with the best seed, which is FC Black. And this is obviously for the most of the teams, like FC Black, both the Omits, War, and stuff like that. It's based off all of the events for the year, like the Toronto Open, the Miami Open, the Boston Open, obviously all the Challengers Elite stuff, because you do gain points throughout the year, which obviously benefits you to make champs and for obviously your seeding for champs. There's a lot of players here that have played in the league last year or this year and been dropped, which they'll want to get back into the league. I mean, if we look at at Brooklyn, for example, who were one of the favourites, Cammy, Awaken, and Purge all started the year on a roster in the CDL. And Proloot was obviously on the Vegas Legion last year, and he's also been on Optic in the past. Um, Law Gaming, Yuli, Paul X, Two Real, and Arcities were all in the CDL last year at some point. So there is players that have been in there. I mean, Exceed, Brack, and Asim have been in last year, and Asim this year. Midnight, all have been in last year or this year. Temp, Eric Boom, Assault, and Capsidol. And obviously you can see there, obviously the thumbnail of the episode as well. Hixie on Orma EU was obviously on the Ultra, who got to the grand final last year and won a chip, and he's been in challenges all year. He has said actually on his live stream that he has had offers, but it's the visas because it costs a lot more to get to a visa. That costs a lot of money. Some of the lower orgs don't basically do that because it costs them money that they don't have, which is disappointing for EU players to get into the league. So, that's the teams and that. That's the wrong thing. Apologies. Um, just clicked on the wrong source. Um, so this is how it works. So we obviously have the four groups. So the way it works is the top seed of that group will play the bottom seed. So FC Black obviously were seed one going into this event, whereas Chaos was 16. They play each other, and then the winner advances to the winners final, and the loser to the losers semi final because obviously it's only group before. And then the loser of the winners final will play the winner of the losers semi final. It's not even a semi final, but you know what I'm trying to say. Well, it is actually a loser semi final. No, it is a loser semi final. And then the winner of both of these final matches, the winners final and the losers final, will both go into the bracket for champs, like the top eight. So I'm just going to do for these groups, I'm just going to do my predictions, just say them rather than put like names on. I've got all the names already sorted for for the last bracket though. So I've got FC Black winning their first match, and I've also got Syndicate winning their first match. So then it would be Midnight versus Chaos. I've got Midnight beating Chaos, so Midnight would go into the losers final, and they would play Syndicate again because I think FC Black win and come first in their group. So FC Black will go through, and I actually think Midnight beat Syndicate this time, so it would be FC Black and Midnight from Group A that would advance to the next round. Then we've got Group B, so we've got Orma EU versus 6F Carolina and 5 Media versus Exceptional. So I have got Orma EU winning, and I've also got exceptional winning. I've got 5 media beating Carolina, which then means 5 media would play Omit or exceptional. I think Omit beat exceptional and win their group, and I actually think exceptional beat 5 media again, and it would be Omit EU as group winners and far exceptional as group runners up. Moving on to Group C. By the way, shout out to the rotation for all of this, all these graphics that were on their page, the templates. Um, so then Omit Brooklyn play Team Zuna. I've got Brooklyn winning that. War versus Noctum. I've got War winning that. I've got Noctum beating Zuna. I've got Brooklyn beating War, so Brooklyn goes group winners. And then I've got War beating Noctum again. Um, so it's Brooklyn and War. And the final group, we've got Spartans versus Mind Freak and Law Gaming versus Houdini. I have got Spartans winning against Mind Freak, Law Gaming winning against Houdini. Um, ooh. I'm gonna go with Houdini, but it's close. Houdini beating Mind Freak. And I've actually got Law Gaming beating the Spartans, so Law Gaming would win this bracket. However, I have still got the Spartans advancing as they would beat Houdini in the losers final. So that is my uh my bracket sorted for the first part. Um Now obviously the challenges obviously it's played in it's a separate location. It's probably I assume it's probably in the same location. Um but I know for a fact, but it obviously won't be on the main stage. It could be in a different arena though. I'm not sure. I do know that obviously the champs grand final for challenges is played on main stage. On Championship Sunday. It's the first match of Championship Sunday before um obviously the top four, the final four in the CDL play. Anyway, I've just realised I've just spoilt who wins the first matches. Whoops. Right. Right. So FC Black versus Exceptional. I'm gonna go with FC Black, but you already saw that. Then we've got Law Gaming versus War, and this is gonna be a really close game. And I've actually got War taking out Law Gaming here and sending them to losers bracket. And then we've got Omit Brooklyn versus Spartan. See, for me, it's FC Black, Omit EU, and Omit Brooklyn that are the three favourites to win this. Um, and I am going to go with Omit Brooklyn to win this. Obviously, we could see some surprise. I mean, I've put War to beat Law, which is maybe a surprise. I'm not really sure. I haven't just gone because I can show you here, obviously, the seeding. For example, Exceptional number 10. And I've gone for Exceptional um to go through. But obviously it is like I mean Syndicate and Midnight are 8 and 9, and Spartans and Law are 4 and 5. So it's wrong thing again. So it's not like I'm like what's the words I'm trying to say? It's not like I'm just going for a generic one because obviously I thought my champs predictions were quite realistic, especially putting Surge to beat Optic for 6th. Um, but you just never know ultimately. But I'm not making one where there's like ridiculous upsets coming because I just don't see the point because it just won't happen most of the time. Anyway, so then we've got Orma EU versus Midnight. I am going to go for Orma EU, which sends Midnight to losers. So then we have the first games of losers. And we have Law versus Exceptional, and I am going to go for Law here. I think Exceptional will finish top 8. I'm not sure what the prize money looks like in challenges this year for winning. Um, but I assume it'll be a decent amount because it's champs. So, and obviously you hope obviously the money's nice. To be crowned the Challengers champion is always a really good thing. But I always think that the main thing, if you win Challengers Champs, is you've shown what you can do on the main stage in front of these organisations that might think, right, we want to pick up this player for the Esports World Cup, or we want to pick up this player for Black Ops 6. And because they don't have a contract, they're cheaper to hire. They probably would take minimum pay in most circumstances. Obviously, the minimum salary is like $59,000, I think, for a CDL contract for a season. Anyway, after that, we have got Spartans versus Midnight, and it's like I said, it's not really a shock, but obviously Spartans going into Group D as #1 seed. I've got, and obviously not even winning it, I've got them to actually be eliminated in 8th, and I have got Midnight taking this dub over the Spartans. So that's the losers round one's done, and obviously the winners round one. Then we're gonna have FC Black versus War, which I obviously FC Black won the Toronto Open, um, and the Boston one. They've been obviously there's a reason they are #1 seed. I have got them to beat one. Obviously this is where this is when winners round two is when it flips over if you lose. So you War go to the bottom half of losers round two and play Midnight rather than Law. Then we've got Omit Brooklyn versus Omit EU. This is probably, bar the grand finals. Well, no, actually, no. Winners finals hard. This is so hard to predict because it could go either way. All right. I have actually gone though for Omit Brooklyn to beat Omit EU, but it could go either way. Um, and then we obviously have the losers round two. We have Law versus Omit EU, which will be a really good game as well. But I am gonna go for Omit EU. And then we've got Midnight versus War, and I'm actually gonna go for Midnight here. A bit of a losers run here from Midnight, SGP Midnight. Uh, yeah, a bit of a losers run. Obviously, they clutched up with around 11 to get into champs, didn't they? Yeah, I had to just double check that. It was obviously Midnight and Syndicate both being SGP. I had to just double check. Yeah, it was a game 5, round 11. Adam Assault winning the 1v1, which got them into champs. Obviously, he was on the LAG roster at the start of the year for the first two majors. And yeah, that's going to be a top 4 for them. So then we have Orma EU versus Midnight in the losers semi-final. Again, this could go either way, but I am going to go for Orma EU. They are obviously the best EU team this year, and all 4 of them deserve it. All 4 of them do deserve a chance in the CDL. Slash deserve another chance because I still think Hixie being dropped. I can understand why they wanted to bring Envoy in, but the fact that no other team picked Hixie up was crazy. Like going from grand finals of champs and winning Major 3 as well in your first CDL event to not being on a team is wild. Then we have obviously FC Black versus Omit Brooklyn. Oh, this is going to be a banger. Let me tell you, a banger. I cannot wait to watch this one. Hopefully this one won't be on during the middle of a CDL match because I want to watch the full match for this. I am going to go for Omit Brooklyn to beat FC Black. Yeah, Omit Brooklyn to win. Then that obviously puts FC Black against Omit EU, which one versus Seed 2. It could be really good. It's going to be a banger, and it's a bit of a losers run here from Omit EU, and the obviously the Omit camp are going to be very happy that it's going to be an Omit winner regardless, based off my prediction. Omit EU will beat FC Black and will play Omit Brooklyn in a rematch of winners round 2. This one obviously, is a best of 7. Is it a best of 7 or is it a best of 9 for champs, for challengers? It might be a best of 9 actually. I can't remember based off last year. I do feel like last year was best of 7 for champs, for challengers, but it could be best of 9. Anyway, my challengers champs are, and I didn't really want to give it away with the thumbnail, obviously putting Hixie on. I've gone for Orma EU. I'm gonna rep the EU team here to win champs at challenges, but it could go either way. I do think it's between both Ormit teams and FC Black. If any of the other teams do win champs, and fair play, because I wasn't expecting it. But I do think it's between these three teams, and I'm going to go for Orma EU to win champs, and hopefully Hixie back in the league, and hopefully players like Mythics, Vortex, and Weeman do get an opportunity to be in the league next year. Well, that is going to be the end of this episode of the Roundup. Obviously next week is champs review. I'd love to see Optic win it, but I'm not 100% confident on that based off the momentum going into the tournament. Hopefully it will be a really good, really good event. I mean, it's held by Optic. Optic events are always really good. Same with Toronto. Yeah, it's going to be really good, and I can't wait to see what happens. Hopefully some upsets, some storylines, some memorable Call of Duty played from Thursday to Sunday. That's going to be the end though for this episode. Um, yeah, it's been a bit of a different episode, talking mainly about challenges, but yeah, it's been good. Thank you so much for everyone that's watched. Please do like the video if you've enjoyed. And yeah, I'll see you next week. Next week's episode will be out on Wednesday, by the way. So I've got plenty of time to record it. Because I want to make sure I don't miss anything. This will be out on Tuesday. Alright, thank you very much, everyone. Have a great evening. And obviously, if you are watching I'm recording this literally an hour before the Euros starts. So if you are supporting England, hopefully they'll win it. If you're not supporting England, you'll obviously be hoping Spain win it. Hopefully that isn't the case, and hopefully England do take the trophy. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day. Bye for now.